So today, in this very special, supreme land of Vajrasana, the diamond seed, people from many different countries, many different places have gathered, and we have the opportunity to make our prayers. And so, to everyone gathered here, I would like to say that not wanting even the slightest suffering, but never being satisfied with whatever happiness and joy there is. So all sentient beings are same in not wanting any kind of suffering, down to the small insects. And all of us, human beings in particular, are same in not wanting suffering, but wanting joy, happiness. So we as human beings have this brilliant mind to overcome suffering. We do not need to look only for temporary means, but we have the ability to look for deeper means and measures to overcome the suffering and to increase our happiness, to achieve our happiness and to overcome our suffering. We do think about this, but nevertheless, people mostly have a very narrow scope of thoughts, and they are not able to think widely. So they only think of very temporary happiness. So although all human beings on this earth, 7 to 8 billion human beings, do not want suffering but want happiness, we are all same, but we create more suffering. So because of lacking wider perspective, we are more or less lost in the temporary sort of gratification and have a narrow-minded attitude with a very small scope of our view. And then accordingly we do what we wish to do. So although all human beings without exception do not want suffering but want happiness, we are all same in that respect. There is no other animals or sentient beings like human beings who cause suffering to ourselves as well as others. Though we have this marvelous intelligence, this brain, but we have a very narrow-minded thinking and attitude, and accordingly do try to achieve happiness and overcome suffering. And therefore, in this world, what we have seen in the past few centuries, for example, the people have indulged in the First World War, the Second World War, and had been preparing for the Third World War to defeat others and to look for victory for oneself, and therefore building all kinds of weapons and armory. So this is what we have done so far, though we instinctively do not want suffering but want happiness. But by using this intelligent mind that we have not been able to look to the situations from a wider perspective, but we looked only in a narrow-minded way, and therefore build all kinds of weapons and armory, and this is only for destruction of oneself and others, and therefore not for happiness and joy for anyone. So now we have made we should be aware of the mistakes that we have made so far. And now what we should do is, because all beings do not want suffering but want happiness, we should engage in practices whereby we can create more happiness and less suffering for everyone. And so we have this brain, this marvelous brain. If we, in retrospect to the world history, we may feel very tired. So people have built all kinds of weapons. So in the future, we should try our best to avert any wars and battles by using, wherein people would use these weapons. So since we all of us are same in not wanting suffering but wanting happiness, so these 7 to 8 billion people on this earth are also same in not wanting suffering but wanting happiness. And therefore, few people should not bear this kind of the narrow-minded attitude for victory for oneself and thinking of victory for oneself and defeat for the others. So we as Buddhists, we usually say, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. Therefore, we should, as human beings, should think of and act accordingly, and particularly thinking of the benefits for human beings and overcoming their suffering. And therefore, in our own practice, we should endeavor to bring about happiness to all beings and overcome their suffering. And the important thing is dividing ourselves, saying us and them, dividing ourselves between us and them, and then fighting, and also building all kinds of weapons in order to defeat others and to gain victory for oneself. So in this world, people are thinking more or less in this way. But because all of us are same in not wanting suffering but wanting happiness, and we should enjoy and live in this world, enjoying the foods and drinks and so forth, and therefore not think of victory for one's own side and defeat for the other parties. So this should not happen. We should think of getting rid of such an attitude of victory for oneself and defeat for the others, because we want suffering. All of us are same in wanting happiness and not wanting suffering. And so this is what we should endeavor to do. So for world peace, so from a theistic religious point of view or non-theistic point of view, all human beings are same in not wanting suffering and wishing to have happiness. Whether you believe in a religion or not, all of us are same in wanting peace in the world peace. Even the non-believers have the same wish and desire for world peace. And therefore, all of us, regarding peace in the world, should understand that it is rooted in our loving and compassionate mind. If you let your mind be influenced or swayed by hatred, then peace will not happen in the world. So all several billion people in this world, we want happiness and not suffering, and we have to live on this earth together. And therefore, if we could have a good heart, warm heart towards all beings, then we can expect to have true peace in the world. By dividing ourselves between us and them, and then thinking of defeating others and victory for oneself, there will not be peace in the world. So all human beings who want happiness and not suffering, we are all same in this respect, and therefore if we could work together for the world, together with love and compassion, we could expect to have peace in the world. When we were born, nobody, no human being brings with him or her any weapons in his or her hands. And we were nurtured by our mother's milk and love and care. So all of us are same in that respect. And therefore, we should think of all others and maintain love and compassion to one another. Though we have this instinct wish for happiness and joy and not suffering, but after we join school system, we somehow are not taught these values. And therefore, because of materialistic kind of education, then people are thinking of building weapons. So just as we were born with love, under the care and love and milk of our mother, we should think of caring for others' well-being. All 7 to 8 billion people on this earth are same, were born the same way. We were nurtured the same way by our mother with her love, care and milk. And therefore, we should maintain that loving, caring attitude towards the people around us and spread it to others. And therefore, in this way, we can build peace in the world. It's very unfortunate that people are killing one another in this world. Very sad. So because we are all human beings are same in not wanting suffering but wanting happiness, and we were born the same way. We were born from our mother, cared and loved and nurtured by our mother's milk. And therefore, while we live, we should think of creating loving atmosphere around us, amongst the friends, people around us, and then maintain that in the world. And so, though we were born the same way from our mother, under her love, care and milk, nurtured by her milk, but because of the materialistic education, people have started forgetting these values and building all kinds of weapons, thinking of victory for one's own side and defeating the other side, the party. So this should not happen. Whether it's not about religion. So because we want happiness and not suffering, in that respect we are same. Therefore, peace of mind. We should work to build peace of mind within and loving and compassionate attitude. And so we should practice karuna or compassion. So if we could do that, then there will be peace in the world. It doesn't have to do anything with whether you believe in a religion or not, or whether you believe in reincarnation, rebirth or not. But in this very life, if you keep peace of mind within, love and compassion within, you will be in good terms with people around you. So all these 7 to 8 billion people, if we could think of oneness of humanity, then what we have been doing so far is all wrong in terms of victory for oneself and so forth. So we can also pray for peace in the world. Whether you believe in a religion or not, all of us have the same responsibility to build peace in the world through love and compassion amongst human beings, with the understanding that we are all same human beings, with this sense of oneness of human beings, and therefore we should do our best to build peace within and without. So we'll do the Bodhicitta ceremony today. So there are many different religions in the world, all of which, the essence of all of which, despite their philosophical differences, is to have kind heart and to help one another, benefit one another. In this regard, all these religions have the same message. So in order to prove this validity of this, then there are different reasons, like the theistic religions use God as the creator of all creation. So we do not need to talk about religion as such, but with the sense of oneness of human beings who wants happiness, not wanting suffering. If we could have that one sense of oneness of human being and spread love, then there will be peace of mind. So whether you believe in a religion or not, whether you believe in the past and future lives or not, but while we are alive, if we could help one another, benefit one another, without thinking, dividing ourselves between us and them, but with a sense of oneness of human beings, then we can create peace in the world. This should be kept in mind. It's very important to keep this in mind. So we as Buddhists, we say, we pray for all sentient beings to be free from suffering and have happiness. So this should not be left merely in words, but we should be practical about it, and particularly thinking of human beings, and therefore there is no need for tossing ourselves around through hatred, attachment, and so forth, and dividing ourselves between us and them. These are not needed. So though we were born in different countries, for example, myself, I was born in the northeastern part of Tibet called Dome or Amdo, and we were born as human beings. So if you have the sense of oneness of human beings, if you feel others to be your brothers and sisters, then you will not be left feeling helpless and hopeless, and so we can be friends to one another. So with this sense of oneness of human being, have a good heart. This is the essence of the spirituality or religion as well. So the mind being tossed by attachment and hatred, to reduce these, there are many different reasonings that are given in our scriptures. in the religions. The text that we covered yesterday, in praise of Dhammadhatu, so teaches emptiness. So all of us human beings are same in the sense that our minds are empty of inherent existence, and therefore there is no basic sound ground for being tossed by the love, this hatred and attachment. So there's no need for us to have this kind of division amongst us through hatred and attachment. So in this world, with the sense of oneness of human beings, we should bring true peace of mind in the world, and a world filled with love and compassion. And this is our responsibility, to create a world peace filled with love and compassion, through peace of mind and love and compassion within ourselves. So with regard to the text, that we covered it yesterday. So we should, this text that we covered yesterday can be used to overcome our love, attachment and anger. So through love and through attachment and anger, we create division amongst ourselves as us and them. But this is not in accordance with reality. What happens is, when we are attached to somebody or angry at somebody, the other person or the object looks as if they exist from their own side, objectively, independently. So there is also some kind of a notion that we get that person, the other person, was born as our adversary. When we have anger towards them, for example, but that is not true. Although the truth, that is not correct, but because of our being influenced, under the influence of different conditions in our life, we tend to look at other people as adversaries, and we become angry at them. So even to look at other sentient beings, other people, from the point of view of being a creation of a creator God, that also is quite helpful. So all creatures are created by the same God. Therefore, there is no reason why we should discriminate others against others. And there's every reason to look at, from that point of view, everyone as one's friends and near and dear ones. So the more compassionate and loving you are towards others, you are going to be more happier, and also others will be happier. With attachment, anger, and so forth, your mind becomes narrow. And through that narrow-minded attitude, then you create division, discriminate others, and create this division between us and them. So if you look back in our history, we can see how much problems and difficulties we have actually created for oneself and others through our attachment, lust, anger, hatred. And so we should feel satisfied with this now. Think enough is enough. And now what we should do is have the sense of oneness of human beings, and we should live together with using the same provisions that we have, and think of creating a peace in the world. Of course, religion or spirituality is an individual matter, but we as human beings are same in that we were nurtured by our mother's love, milk, care. And when you die, without talking about religion as such, if you have love, if we could die with this love, then we could have peace in the world through peace of mind. And the peace of mind will come through the practice of karuna or compassion. So please keep this in mind. So with regard to the text that we covered yesterday, I explained it a little bit. It is a text that teaches the Buddha Dharma from the point of view of philosophical views. So we'll not go through that. But as we are all human beings, if we think that we are stranded in a deserted land, and if you somehow see someone coming towards you in that deserted land, then you'll immediately feel, oh, there's a human being there, and feel safe. So this is something natural that happens to us. Even animals, when they come together with the same species, animals with their own species, they kind of trust them. So as human beings, with the sense of oneness of human beings, without losing sight of human love and affection, it is important for us to live in harmony and peace in the world. Of course, using religion is one thing. It can be done according to one's own interest and disposition, but we as human beings on the whole should have this one sense of oneness of human being for peace in the world. So with regard to in praise of the Dhammadhatu, it teaches from the point of view of the Buddha's teaching, and it teaches how attachment, anger arise in us, and what is the root of this. So it is very profound, but I will not go through this text. I wish to do today this all-encompassing yoga mind. So most of the people here are Buddhists, and we pray, may we reach Buddhahood. And Buddhahood, the Buddhahood in Tibetan is Sangye. Sang means overcoming all kinds of faults and defilements. And when you are able to overcome all these defilements from one's mind, then what you reach is that all-knowing state of Buddhahood. And so Ge means to have the knowledge of everything. And therefore what we should do is to reduce and make those of the defilements from within our mind, and increase the good qualities, and not having a narrow-mindedness, thinking only of your selfish motive, with the selfish motive, thinking only of yourself, but you kind of expand your mind towards all sentient beings, and see all sentient beings, to think of all sentient beings to have happiness and all that. And therefore, through these practices, you will be able to see everything. So that the more you have a broader perspective towards and thinking of others, the better it is to increase your knowledge, to increase your qualities and become a Buddha. Whereas if you only think of oneself alone, it is a very narrow-minded, and you are not able to see it from a wider perspective. And therefore, Sangye, meaning overcoming all defilements and faults and defects in our mind, and having the full knowledge of everything, can come through gradual means of progression along the spiritual path. So, of course, we were not born with all these good qualities, but if we could learn what are the negativities, what are those defilements that we have to discard, and what are the good qualities that we should build, then we'll be able to go about with the practices to reduce the defects, the faults, defilements, and so forth, increase the excellent qualities within ourselves. So you should not think only of yourself, but think of overcoming the suffering of all other sentient beings and bringing happiness to them, and the overcoming the selfish motive. And so through this kind of practice of reducing selfish motive, selfishness, and thinking of the welfare of others, your knowledge, your qualities, inner qualities will increase. So these two words, Sangye, have such connotation of overcoming all defilements, all negativities, and being able to reach that state where you have the full knowledge of everything. And so overcoming all the mental afflictions and their imprints, residual imprints, and thereby having this being able to expand your knowledge of all phenomena. So we should have this understanding of these two words, Sangye, Buddhahood, being able to overcome all the defilements, all the faults, and thereby being able to have this wide knowledge of everything, all phenomena. So, including myself, all of us, including myself, should lessen this selfish motive, thinking only of myself, oneself, but thinking of the well-being and welfare of all other sentient beings as best as one can. So with this understanding, we'll do the all-encompassing yoga mind. As I have explained it, all sentient beings across the expanse of space, as infinite as the expanse of space, including human beings who have this faculty or the quality of being able to understand things and being able to communicate them with others, think of bringing, directly or indirectly, bringing benefit and happiness to all sentient beings, down to the smallest insects, not harming any one of them. Have this good heart. So, first, for now, as followers of the Buddha, the Bhagwan, the transcendental victor, and also as someone who practices bodhicitta, this spirit of enlightenment, we should think of bringing all sentient beings to that state of omniscience and have that courage to bring all sentient beings to the state of Buddhahood, omniscient state. So all sentient beings, as infinite as the expanse of space, and particularly all sentient beings on this earth, including human beings, all sentient beings, including the small insects, have this good heart to all sentient beings, particularly the beings on this earth, including human beings, to have happiness. Think that I will have this determination, make the determination that you will benefit and help all sentient beings and not harm or hurt them. Now, when we have attachment or anger towards others, what the other person or thing looks is as if they have some kind of independent objective existence. If you talk about an enemy or an adversary whom you dislike, that person or being looks as if he or she has some kind of objective independent existence. But this comes through causes and conditions. So therefore we can understand that we have these kind of perceptions as through dependence on other factors. Even the Buddha, whom sometimes we call the primordial protector, does not come about without any causes and conditions. So through the practice of path, someone becomes a Buddha, a fully enlightened being. And then when we call someone a demon or an evil being, that also is through dependence on many different factors. And therefore, all phenomena, everything is only merely designated and do not have any essential objective existence. If things were to have essential objective existence, then there is no way to change them as such. Whereas things are dependently originated, therefore we can make change. So all of us, oneself as well as others, are dependently originated based on different conditions, various conditions, and do not have any essential objective existence. So ultimately the Buddha himself is merely designated, dependently designated, and do not have an independent objective existence. And even the devils do not exist essentially independently. And therefore everything, all phenomena are merely designated and do not exist essentially independently. So if you can think along this line of reasoning, that things are merely designated through dependence, therefore you will understand that things do not have any essential independent existence. So all sentient beings across the expanse of space, including human beings, and more widely, all phenomena are dependently originated, and ultimately they are designated by our labels and signs. So if you think closely, precisely, minutely, then you'll see things do not have any essential independent objective existence, but that they are merely designated through dependence. So, think of bodhicitta, thinking of benefiting, becoming a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, and that mind of bodhicitta, the spirit of enlightenment, transforms into a ball of a disc of light at your heart, and then think of the fact that everything, including the Buddha himself, does not exist independently, and therefore have this insight into emptiness. And this insight into emptiness, now visualize it transforming into a white Vajra, five-spoked white Vajra standing on the moon disk at your heart. So I do this practice on a daily basis. So when I think of the bodhicitta and emptiness, of course, I feel peace of mind. And through these two principles, one also has this strong wish and aspiration to pursue enlightenment, Buddhahood, for the sake of others. So I can say with 100% conviction that bodhicitta and emptiness, from the point of view of a Buddhist, these two principles gives peace, true peace of mind, through which I can also have I can feel physical health. So it helps. It's the best means for one's physical health as well. Regarding myself, I'm nearly 90 now, 90 years of age, but I feel very much at ease within. And because of the meditation on emptiness and bodhicitta, and also, of course, for longevity, it is good to do certain rituals, tantric rituals, recitation of mantras and so forth. But the best means for long life is this practice of bodhicitta and emptiness, insight into emptiness. And so please keep this in mind. As I said before, this bodhicitta, which is in the form of white disk at your heart, and the insight into emptiness in the form of white Vajra standing on that disk, moon disk. So, with these two principles of bodhicitta and the insight into emptiness represented by these moon disk and the Vajra, make the determination that I will never lose these two principles until I become enlightened, and repeat this: Om Sarva Yoga Citta Upatayami, Om Sarva Yoga Citta Upatayami, Om Sarva Yoga Citta Upatayami. Om Surati Samaya Dam Ho Siddhi Benjaswam Siddhi Benjayas. Om Surati Samaya Sam Siddhi Benjayata Sukham. So this is making determination that you will never lose, give up these two principles of bodhicitta and this view of emptiness. So although I am quite old by age, but because of my practice of bodhicitta and the insight into emptiness, I do not look very old, and my mind also feels very fresh and young. So this is the best practice for our good health and also longevity. So these two principles of bodhicitta and the insight into emptiness are the best means for our longevity. So we should keep in mind, reflect on these two words, Sangye Buddha. And when you come across these two words, think of bodhicitta and the insight into emptiness. So in order to do the Bodhisattva vows, I don't think I need to say much, but what we have already done, this universal yoga mind should be sufficient. So at this time, we have obtained this human life and met with the teaching of the Buddha, and in this sacred, sublime sacred place of Dorjiden, Vajrasana, Bodhgaya, we have the same mind, having faith in, conviction in bodhicitta and the view of emptiness. I don't think we need to do a separate ceremony for bodhisattva vows. As such, you trust me, and I am confident, 100% confident, that the meditation on bodhicitta, the spirit of enlightenment, and the insight into emptiness is very important. These are very practical practices as well, practically beneficial. Of course, the results will not come immediately, but after weeks, months, and years, if you do continue to practice these two principles, you'll be able to see the change and transformation within yourself. As it is said that anything which is dependent on causes and conditions do not stay static. So regarding myself, I was born in the northeastern part of Tibet and then moved to central Tibet and then pursued my education in Buddhist philosophy and logic and so forth. And then whatever I have studied, I have reflected on them and integrated the teaching within myself in meditation, and I have seen transformation happening within myself. And therefore, as we are all same as being human beings, please keep this in mind and proceed with your practice of these two principles. So there's no need for us to do the Bodhisattva vow ceremony as such. And so you trust me and have confidence in me. And from my side, I can say with 100% guarantee that if you practice and meditate bodhicitta and the insight into emptiness well, then in this very life you will be able to be start the path to enlightenment in this life. So I can say that I have the experience of bodhicitta and also the experience, quite a good degree of experience of the insight into emptiness as well. I tell people usually that I am hoping I can see that I may be able to reach the path of preparation, except that I'm lacking in single-pointed meditation, shamatha. But I have I can say with confidence that I have quite a good experience of emptiness. And as soon as I wake up in the morning, I meditate on, I can feel moved by this meditation on bodhicitta by using the lines which says, in order to fulfill the aims of myself and others, I shall develop the spirit of enlightenment. And so, having practiced this bodhicitta and the view of emptiness, I can see that I feel at ease and relaxed. And this is also the best means for longevity. So please, my Dhamma brothers and sisters, keep this in mind and do your best to practice bodhicitta and the view of emptiness. And so that's all. Tashi Delek to all.